Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morrisman. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my talk show, Tell It Like It Is. I'm your host, and my co-host is
Joseph Spencer.
And today we're going to do a brief topic today, and it's entitled, This Doesn't Make Any Sense. And the first one that I want to talk about is Bobby Kennedy, who was murdered in the 60s, and Sirhan was charged with his murder. Now, this is pretty interesting to me because I guess back then you can kind of get away with a lot of stuff, but now, it wouldn't fly because it doesn't make any sense because according to news reports, news clips, after he gave his speech because he was running for president, he took an exit or a pathway through a pantry. And actually, it was a last-minute decision because it wasn't scheduled for him to go through the pantry. So he went through the pantry, and there was at least 100 people, and that's the least. It's probably actually twice as many people that were in there. And Sirhan jumped out the crowd, did display a firearm, and shot the firearm off or discharged it. But at no point in time, and all those people that can attest to that, because no one has said different, at no point in time, Joe, that Sirhan was behind Bobby Kennedy, but Bobby Kennedy died from a bullet to the back of the head. So it's like, was there a magic bullet there too? So it's just really ridiculous that Sirhan is sitting in prison for the murder of Bobby Kennedy because he didn't kill Bobby Kennedy. It was physically impossible for him to have killed Bobby Kennedy because, again, at no point in time Sirhan was behind Bobby Kennedy to discharge a firearm and shoot him in the back of the head. But again, Bobby Kennedy died from a bullet to the back of the head. So it's just doesn't make any sense to me. But that was a cover-up. Just like with his brother, that was a cover-up too, because I don't believe that Lee Harvey Oswald got up one morning and said, I'm going to kill the president and go to the movies. It was a whole lot of discrepancies there as far as how John F. Kennedy was killed also. So it's just unfortunate that these two men were trying to do good things and they were gunned down in their prime. That's my first one. Any comments on that? Or
Well, when I was a kid, I saw all that on film. That was my era. And when I got out into the world and I began to be around different races of people, I began to realize there was a lot of stigmatism toward Irish people. And to have an Irish person in WASP power line, which is the presidency, a lot of people didn't like that who were Anglos. I freak because when you were little black kids, you think all white people are white people.
Yeah.
And I started learning the history of Irish people and WASP. I began to understand a lot why they started getting rid of these Irish American leaders. And I believe that somebody had these men whacked off. And when you have a man named Sirhan, now his name was not John Jones or Michael Phillips. His name was Sirhan. Today, when you look at somebody with a name like Sirhan, what does it make you think of?
you're a different nationality.
Well, Arabs to me.
Yeah.
If you don't know better, it's an Arab name. And I really believe ever since I was a kid, 15, 17, 18 years old, I must have been pushing 19 when Bobby got killed. Now I believe there was a big conspiracy.
Yeah, because it was too many inconsistencies. Yeah. And again, it's just plain old common sense. At no point in time, again, and I stress that he was behind Bobby Kennedy, and we all know that Bobby Kennedy died from a bullet to the back of the head. That right there should have just told everybody that that's not the guy. But let's move on, though, because we don't want to stay too long on this one. The next one is, we touched on this one before, the OJ thing. Real simple. I mean, unfortunately, race got in the way of people making decisions or assuming or taking a stab at what they thought, who was innocent or guilty. A lot of people just looked at it as this black guy killed two white people. And it's sad because it shouldn't have been about that. Two people died regardless of the color of their skin. And the person that did it, it shouldn't make a difference the color of their skin.
Right.
They're guilty.
Right.
But it's just real simple because I told you before, and I shared with my audience, I was ATM EMT for over 10 years, and I've seen dead bodies. I've seen people die from bullet wounds. I've seen people stabbed to death. It's a bloodbath. Blood is everywhere. There's no way that you can get out of there without having any type of large amounts of blood on you. And the only thing they found on OJ's car was a couple of speckles of blood. after this man supposedly had knifed these people to death and they bled to death. So I mean, it's just it doesn't make any sense that that there was not enough evidence, to really kind of say that this guy actually really did it. Because again, the glove didn't fit. Who walks around with gloves that don't fit? Especially when you're a wealthy man. If you're a poor person, a little child, yeah, maybe you got leftovers, or hand-me-downs, but you're a millionaire and you walk around with gloves that's too small. I mean, I just don't buy it. It just didn't make any sense.
They even try to say that he had his hands stretched out in the glove.
Yeah.
Now, I've been shopping for years, and I've had some pigskin gloves and some kidskin gloves. When they get wet, they get through a little tight. I never had some
but
blood.
they don't shrink.
But they don't shrink.
Yeah, they don't shrink.
No, not to that extent, unless you put them in the washing machine.
I don't even think they shrink then. I've had them soaking wet leather
Yeah.
gloves, and they never shrunk. They dried up. It was kind of hard, but
Right.
never lost a hand size.
Yeah. Now, I'm a hunter. And I've seen dead bodies, and I've seen, what I could see. I've seen dead bodies bleed out. But when you're hunting, and even when the animal's dead, and you cut that jugular vein, there's copious amount of blood to come out of this animal.
I mean, you bleed to death.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally bleed to death.
And when the heart is still pumping,
Yeah.
and you cut somebody's throat,
And it's squirting.
it squirt, blood is everywhere. And another thing, most of the wealthy neighborhoods I've been in, even back in the 70s, they had security cameras.
Yeah.
And hey, OJ was being too bold. He was being, I got my white woman, this, that, and the other, and everybody know cocaine and white girls don't mix. Especially when you live in a certain lifestyle. That's what I heard.
I don't believe that OG did it.
Me neither.
Regardless
Me
of
neither.
OG being black or white, I just, just based on the logical, physical evidence or the lack of,
Yeah.
But we move on to the next one. Robert Blake, who was actually acquitted of killing his wife.
Yeah.
And according to Robert Blake's testimony, he went to a restaurant with his wife and he brought his gun. And my first impression when I heard that was, why do you need to bring a gun to a restaurant? If you feel that issue of a safety issue and you're taking your wife somewhere, you might want to go to another place, or another neighborhood. But he claimed that he went to the restaurant carrying his firearm. He left the restaurant with his wife to get in the car and he said, oops, I forgot my gun. Now, who forgets a gun at a restaurant? The worst thing that I've ever gotten away from me in a public place is a hair comb.
Yeah.
Now,
Not no-
firearm,
2 pounds.
Exactly. A firearm, I would imagine you would take extra precaution to make sure it stays with you. I mean, what did it do? Fall out of his coat pocket and he got to the car and realized it was missing and went back? And then when he came back, his wife was dead. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
I've seen people who were not gun people. And when I say gun people, I'm a gun person. And when I say gun people, when a lot of people wear their weapons on their waist or put it in their pocket, so what are you doing? What? Oh, it's in the way.
Well, you usually put it in your holster.
You put it.
Snap it.
Well, I've seen a lot of people take their weapon out of their holster in a restaurant and lay it beside them. Well, it's in the way in my. I said, well, hey, you, if you're gonna carry a weapon, you don't take your weapon out and put it beside you.
No. And you definitely don't forget your weapon.
You don't forget your weapon.
It's like you don't forget your wallet. I think I've only forgot my wallet leaving out to go to work once my entire life. Once. That's it. My wallet goes with me when I leave the house.
Get all your ID,
All
your
the time.
driver's license,
Exactly.
your money, and everything.
Yeah.
And if you forget it, you turn around and get it.
But it's just kind of hard to believe. It's not to say that it's impossible that it didn't happen that way, but it's just kind of hard to believe that you forget your gun.
I used to go to restaurants and watch some of the older entertainers. And they're actually in La La Land. They really are. They have this separate Peter Pan world. They really do. Yeah.
But do you have any more or any other suggestions, or should I say anything that comes to mind as far as that you want to kind of put out there as far as something that didn't make sense to you? Because we're about to wrap this one up.
Well, what don't make sense to me is this Muslim thing. I know that's a really depth thing, but when you have a group of people between the ages of 17 and 30 running around killing people in the name of God, and they saying they're right, I don't believe Muhammad said this. They're blaming stuff on a holy man to do murderous stuff.
This is what I think. We're looking at time there, the manager. This is what I think, and I'm going to wrap this one up because we got to wrap this one up. it's an age-old debate and argument about religion. I don't think we ever come to a conclusion where we can all agree on what we believe is true as far as God, Allah, jihad, or whatever. So it's unfortunate that, throughout mankind, we have been killing each other supposed in the name of God, which is nonsense. And we all have this different perception of religion. So unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to change. And there are a lot of people that got hatred amongst other people, and they use that as a reason to go out and kill people.
Yeah.
But this has been interesting, and our time is just about out. Again, I thank you guys for coming to my show. Tell it like it is. I'm your host, Morrisman, and my co-host.
Joseph Spencer.
And until next time, keep thinking.